I had talked to the manager of Muncheez after hearing that several things were happening there still. He had WSP do a full 2-night investigation of Muncheez, and we did a 1-night investigation at the closed down laundromat and the Hampick camper. All 3 businesses are in the same block of building. Here is part of the interview with our client, Brian.
Basically, I have a major history with this building. I have worked here since I was 18 years old, on and off, throughout all the many different clubs that it's been. So I've been a part of this bar plenty of times. I have a lot of experience inside of it. The entire time that I've been here, people have said that strange things happen, and that this place might be haunted. I always, slipped at it like, whatever, no big deal. Then, when I first started working at Muncheez, which is the bar that it is now, the manager who was here at the time had a lot of really crazy videos and a lot of really crazy pictures that he had taken in here, and it really made me, I'm a conspiracy theory nut anyway, and I'm all into the paranormal and the alien stuff and all that kind of stuff, so it immediately piqued my interest. And he had video footage, which I'm trying to get those videos now, but I haven't gotten to meet up with him yet. He says he hasn't really given them to me. But there was a video that looked like someone sitting with their legs crossed in one of these chairs, but it was like the imagery of it, but not an actual person. Just like,
do you know which table or?
It was actually before this bar was remodeled, and it was a chair and a table that was sitting over here. Which now that is not a place where chairs are or tables. But it looked like a person was sitting there with their legs crossed, shaking their leg. And he's seen it live. He wasn't watching a video of it, he was watching it live. He was in there, all the lights were off in here. And he said that he could even, when you looked at it, it almost looked like you could see perfectly that the person not only was shaking their foot, they were smoking a cigarette, and you could see the smoke, like digitally, kind of. So it was really weird, which that would be normal for video recording surveillance cameras 20 years ago. Maybe it's a videotape of someone who was sitting there and it went over top of it. This is all digital stuff. This is tape once, delete completely, tape again. There's no crossing.
There's no remnant.
There's no crossing of anything. So that's a weird possibility. So the guy was sitting there hanging out with him. He tells him to go and sit beside him. So he walks out on camera, sits down beside of what they think is a apparition and type figure, and the figure puts its arm around him.
Wow.
Craziest thing I've ever seen. And I've seen that with my own 2 eyes. And on the video, on the recorded video. Also know the guys that are involved. Them doctoring a video is completely out of the spectrum for them. They would not be able to. I've never heard either one of them talk about editing video or anything like that. That's not something that your average person can just do. He also took a picture. There used to be a wall here where we're sitting. And this wall had one doorway, which was about where you're sitting. And he took a picture from over here in the dark, and it looked like a man much taller than he was standing right here, shadow-wise, and like what they call a shadow creature.
I know exactly what you're talking
and
about.
it looked like one was standing right here, feet and all, just was uncanny.
Was he able to see his face?
He wasn't able to, no. It cut off right here. And he didn't see it himself. He just seen it on the picture. He didn't know it was there. He also took some pictures over here. And when he took the pictures, he captured what looks like could be a little girl in a white dress. And she is standing behind the bar. And then when they take a picture over here, she's standing over here, over by the kitchen, like she had walked. Weird. Couldn't really be like, oh yeah, that's definitely a little girl. But what is it? I have no idea.
WSP did extensive research into the history of this specific location. On October 31st, 1909, Halloween night, one of the most heinous crimes in our little state was committed. 4 members of the Hood family were brutally and savagely murdered. George Hood Sr., 82, Royal J. Hood, 27, Sarah Hood, 40, and Emma Hood, 13. George and Royal were the first to be killed. Various newspaper articles state that they could either have been shot in the head or they could have been bludgeoned to death. Sarah and Emma had been at church this evening. Emma had just been baptized earlier that morning. Upon returning home, they were both murdered as well. There is no specific method of how they died. When the family's 2-story farmhouse was burnt to cover the crime, the other 2 Hood family members came home to discover it was ablaze. George Jr. and Winfield could not enter the home for the fire, but they could hear no screams either. The most troubling part of these murders is that the murder was never solved. There are no pictures of George Sr., Royal, Sarah, or Emma anywhere. There are no death certificates to be found. No pictures of the family home before or after these savage slayings. It was like they were wiped off the face of the earth. When the bodies of the 4 victims were recovered, only their head and torso could be found for each victim. Some claim the fire destroyed their limbs. I find myself wondering if they had been dismembered.
can you make these candles shoot up? Make them shoot straight up, please. Thank you. Did you have any pets? If yes, tap that blue screen, please. Thank you. Did you use horse and buggy? If yes, tap that blue screen, please. Thank you. What religion were you? Thank you. Do you remember me and Steve from the other night? If yes, tap that screen. Does 1909 mean anything to you? Where are you right now? Do you know? Are you evil? If yes, tap that screen, please. Are you here to hurt Brian? If yes, tap that screen. Are you here to hurt anyone else? If yes, tap the screen, please. Does he scare you? If yes, tap the screen, please. Would you like Brian to leave? If yes, tap the screen for me, please. Have you met Brian you were alive if Deb got that screenplay.